We're back with another episode of Our Voices, #Unfiltered. And this time we thought of, after due discussions and deliberations, that let's talk about media, its influence, and the choices we make based on what is available and what we want to watch actually. So it is said that media is consumed. If it is consumed, that it needs to be palatable. It needs to be appetizing, but at the same time healthy enough for all types of age groups, not just specific to the Gen Z and Alpha. So with this, I take you over to our students, those who are going to share their ideas and thoughts about this.
I'm Shreyasi Savairam from grade 11.
I'm Shazil Karat from grade 12.
And I'm Kiara Velde from grade 12. So when we talk about media, right? To begin with, we'll not talk about Bollywood, Hollywood, or OTT. I just want to know from all of you individually, what kind of media you really prefer watching whenever you get chance for this. You study with it.
All right. So I think the media we generally consume in varied forms, and it's become such a big aspect of our daily functioning. Whether it's something like a lesson that you watch summarized on a YouTube video, or sometimes you listen to podcasts when you're working or something of that sort. Personally, for me, I really love movies, and we won't get too much into Bollywood, but that's a form of media that I consume a lot, and it's something I really enjoy.
So I definitely agree with Kiara. I think majority of my day really does revolve around consuming a lot of content based on education, solely because of the fact that I feel like it is the most convenient access that I have to any sort of concerns or doubts I have. And alongside that, majorly throughout most of my activities throughout the day, I would be listening to some or the other kind of music. So any streaming platform for music, you'll always find me there.
Wonderful. Yes.
I personally watch movies and listen to songs whenever I'm feeling low, and mostly throughout the day I'm watching study blogs and stuff for motivation so that I can study.
Okay. I'm surprised that all three of you said, there's something additional also is happening. And probably there's a message for the parents also that whenever they are with the gadget in hand, they're not always watching something which is not age appropriate. So they have said they follow something which is of their interest and of course which is going to help them with the career path, right? So the next question comes in mind that when there is so much available, right? What is the kind of content other than the educational one you feel is we need to consume more? I mean, there is like all kinds available. It's information, there's entertainment, there is kind of documentaries, historical, environmental, what not is there. So what do you think is something which you consume more other than the education?
I think now specifically since I spoke about documentaries, in the last 20 years, you've seen a huge trend of audiovisual media being used to exhibit stories. And I'm saying largely you see real life stories. So whether it's the biographies, at least one churns out every year, even from our Hindi film industry. But separately, I'm saying there are a lot of documentaries about parasocial relationships, about murder mysteries, thrillers. So all those sorts of things which have actually happened in real life. And through the audiovisual format, it's made easier to digest for a lot of people.
Taking a cue from here, I was just researching on, again, because this was a topic of discussion. Because of what all is available in terms of murder mysteries and all, many of the students have started taking forensics as one of their area of preference. So this is influencing in a good way also, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what usually tends to happen is that because of our continued exposure to all of this content, we have started to expand in a lot of domains. So, of course, forensics being one of them, but now with the ability of having podcasts like these available throughout any platform for that matter, you essentially hold the ability to bring in anybody from any particular domain and get them to talk about it. So it could be from a spirituality take, from a religious take, or some topic that may not be often discussed, or some particular field that may not be often discussed, which is now being brought to light through certain mediums like these.
Yeah. Like that's another point I would like to again say that I never expected that you would talk about spirituality and religion in that sense, because sometimes we feel this is something we can have discussion in private with parents, but now it's open and for you to choose what you want to gain out of it. Good point. Yes. What about you? what is your preference or what you feel is, should be more?
I feel like people should watch sports more because then they will. Right now, after COVID, many people have become lazy like this and just take the gadgets and sit at home every day watching YouTube videos and Netflix every day. They have lost that touch of sports in their life. They don't go outside anymore and they don't exercise that much as much we used to do people.
I remember about my generation, we would be in our very cozy, comforters and then would watch something about sports. But I'm also happy that you brought this up because otherwise, if we ever have not, given it that kind of limelight, the case would have been one person we would just see the pieces of news on the paper only. So, of course, yes, there is awareness, there is information available, but too much of it. Right? Don't you think when you look at the crime or, whether it's religion, sometimes in a different way, we'll not talk about that side of this, but does it make us indifferent towards what we watch on the screen? Okay, this is happening on screen. If it is happening on the road also, it's okay because this is what is real life about. Do you think that indifference is there?
I strongly believe that it brings a certain perspective to the table. What happens is that through the power of media, you have the ability to portray something exactly the way it is, or maybe just take a different angle or different tangent to it. So oftentimes what happens is that we start categorizing all of these aspects into just one of the many things. So if the media wants us to see it that particular way, we tend to look at it that exact same way. And this is again one of those powers that media holds. Now you could of course use this to a certain extent, make sure that you're making good use out of it, or then again exploit it and make sure that you don't really show what was to be seen and rather show just the dark side of that particular incident or aspect.
When you said power, do you agree?
I do agree with power. I agree with the responsibility and right as well. And generally, I think I do agree with a lot of points he said. And one big aspect that I think we must bring about is about the two sides of virality. So now, since you're bringing up Dukesh, the virality of making someone who is maybe underappreciated aware to everyone and making him accessible to everyone is a great side of it. Yeah? And the other side is also unfortunately glorifying such characters or such situations that we would not want to glorify, which we see pertaining not only to media in sense of the characters that are created on screen, but also I would say in real life what we would portray as villainous people, which are people you should not be influenced by. So we see a huge trend in terms of virality of people who are either taking up podcasts or taking up ways to rage bait audiences, where they will speak about such things or they'll speak about such topics in such a derogatory manner that you feel personally, I think, I know you feel upset that someone could be speaking about such absurd topics. True. So in that sense, it is a right and it's a responsibility. It's our right as consumers and as people who want to produce media that we can make the kind of media we want and we can pump it out the way we want. But it is also a responsibility that there are thousands, if not lakhs, people who are going to have access to that. And you would never want your media to have the wrong influence.
Yeah. So I think again, through you, I want to tell everyone, I mean, all age groups, because I know at our age and, elder people also, they watch so much which is available because they mistake virality with the network.
Right.
Right? So networking is not happening while you're putting all the information on the media and all. It's you're making yourself viral in a very positive and negative, whatever way you portray yourself, right? Shreyasi, I have seen that you are very much interested in watching all the OTT, especially the series which are based on influences and all. Why do you think that is something which takes a lot of your attention?
For me personally, I watch such things because I can relate to the main character. What they are going through, maybe even I'm going through the same situation in my life. So it really helps me.
Ooh. So it's not just the outward appearance and all, but what they do, how they do, and then go through the situations they are put in. That is what you do. Do you think real versus real life has any connect when you watch all these? I mean, it's question for everyone, but we'll start with the first. Do you think there is any connect with what is shown and what is actually in the real life?
It may be little different because in real, there's a lot of acting. What you do, what takes place in real life, they don't actually show it on the screen. Like they can have, even the actors can have bad days. They also cry a lot and they go through a lot of stuff, but they don't show it on the screen. They'll always show the good side.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard work, right? It's not easy to just be on the stage. And also in terms of reality, what do you think?
Again, it's the same thing that I said, the portrayal of media yet again. You show one side of things, you don't show the dark side. That is just how the industry has started working now. So what tends to happen now is that what we see on Instagram majority of times does not tend to be true, because I strongly believe that there is no success mantra that people can sort of run with. You cannot have an ideal morning routine that will make you a billionaire tomorrow. So people always getting themselves into content like these, I personally find it quite absurd, because I don't agree with it. I really don't agree with it, and never will I ever hopefully align with something like that, because generally I still feel like it would always stem from something like hard work, something like passion. But it can't possibly only come from the fact that you're waking up at 4 a.m., going for an ice bath, and only then you will become a millionaire. So stuff like that always baffles me. And then again, these actors, these models showing these unrealistic, picture, body perceptions and all that stuff. So that always instills a lot of body image issues amongst consumers. It always makes them want to be like them. But at the end of the day, even they have their images edited, Photoshop and all that for them.
Yeah. I think the common element in both of the examples you used, which is whether it's the success mantra or the body image issues that are started, is that both of these things were initially started for marketing. And that is something that the media is so blatantly used for now because it's such a great marketing tool. So you'll have all of these influencers who will influence you to buying some kind of face LED mask. They'll say that you must have at least 12 different creams that you're using. Even the success mantra gurus will say, this book is the one that's perfect for you. And the body image issues have started all the way back from when Victoria's Secret had started with a huge catalog. And that was a different form of media. But people had got so heavily invested into what the ideal image is and what the ideal body proportions are. And it's the brilliance of marketing, it's the brilliance of the departments that they have for advertising. But it's also such a dangerous element because the way consumerism has increased ever since the advent of technology and access to media, it's unprecedented.
Yeah, I really feel that, just to give you an example, because when we were growing up, size 0 became the thing.
Yeah.
And then off late, maybe to sell things, it's okay to be as big as you want to be. Both the extremes are not good, because somewhere it is about your health, it's about how you feel, that is more important than how you look. Right? Any character which you really identify with yourself with, for what you really watch in real life, you feel that this is something which I want to be, then I grew up.
I personally really like Sabrina Carpenter because she is also short, and despite being short, she has accomplished so many things in life because I have always been bullied for being short. So, and I have always dreamt of being an actor, and most of the actresses are tall. So I always thought that I couldn't do acting despite being short and all.
That image gives you the confidence of doing and for doing what you want.
So I really relate with Sabrina Carpenter.
Okay, in a positive way, right? Yes, that's really nice. So this can also happen. It's not always a negative influence. For parents, I think it is important to talk to your children and understand what are they watching and what is the reason behind it.
Yeah.
Is it for sometimes self-gratification? Right? Sometimes to feel okay with this, and also to feel like, yeah, I can be, but I need to do this much of hard work because it's a real thing, also is important. Yeah. Any character or any illusion.
I usually tend to enjoy influencers who try to keep it as genuine as possible, who you have witnessed from day one, so you can observe their progression over a period of time. So I right off the top of my head, a very huge influencer or somebody who really has changed a lot of people's lives would be David Goggins, for that matter. somebody who is ready to push the limits, somebody who has always shown in the kind of hard work he has put, rather than showing the fake side, or rather than promoting a certain supplement, promoting a certain product for that matter, always trying to keep it as original as possible.
Take a glass of milk, na, and banana rather than having those. I mean, I'm not against anything if it is prescribed by the doctor. Just off the shelf, you pick up something and start following this because your favorite person is doing it, right? Yes, any person you certify.
I feel I do agree with the influencer aspect of it. I agree with health influencers as well. And now that I'm just thinking about it, I think they've really summarized the kinds of people we can take inspiration from. But maybe we can also look at it in terms of the kind of content we should consume.
Yeah.
So the kind of content that we pick up, that we select, that's appropriate for us to be using.
Yeah. So, two last questions. Each one just in one statement, if you can give it. What do you think about the Bollywood movies, which showed a lot of blood and, violence? What is your take on that? Bollywood or Hollywood, for that matter. If it is more than just what it is.
I think it's a dangerous usage of a platform that can psychologically influence people. There are a lot of parasocial relationships that we create with people we idolize or we consider role models. And in fact, there are a lot of studies that have proven that such kind of violent content has brought about a sharp increase in the people who view either misogynistic ideals or I would say a lot of violent ideas in okay ways, in justified ways. Yeah.
I would always consider stuff like this to be something that should be consumed for solely entertainment purposes. I 100% agree with the whole perception aspect. Then again, same thing, it's being put out like that, so of course you tend to think that way. But if you break down the elements of these movies, it's actually quite interesting the way they curate them, right? Be it the background scores that they add to sort of bring that intensity to it, or be it the number of people, the quantity they're bringing in, or the color schemes they're following and everything. So if you break it down like that, it's very interesting.
Totally different perspective, yeah? Rather than just looking at what is portrayed as very violent and on how is that created, that shifts the boat.
There's a reason it sells. Even though sharp camera angles, it accentuates the action sequence. So there's a reason at the end of the day it makes the profit it does.
Oh, yes.
For me, I think it provides a wrong message to the kids because nowadays there is no control over who is watching what kind of movies or shows. So even little young kids watch the kind of movies that promote violence and all, so that they can be very easily influenced with these things, and they may think that bullying is okay and hitting each other is okay in life.
Yes. While you're saying that what you like is shown again, that's how it goes in that cycle. Today if I say, oh, I want to eat something, immediately I get so many options for that. Similarly, when we are watching, there is always that, that thumbs up and thumbs down. We watch it, we don't even just put a thumbs up, a thumbs down, because sometimes I feel that can influence the way these are, for streaming in every platform, that kind of a content. Again, you said responsibility and duty of the viewer, consumer is very, very important. There's a lot we are talking about. One last question I have for you. How do you stop yourself? Because this is now for your friends. You're going to tell them that how do you stop yourselves from not watching what is not age appropriate?
Yes. I think it's important to understand how it can influence you, how it can negatively impact you. We all must have a very clear purpose of what we want to do in our lives, and we must give meaning to whatever task we do. It should be productive and worthwhile at the end of the day. If there is something that we're consuming that's not going to provide us that, we need to be able to move away from it by understanding what the end goal is. So focus is what I did.
100%. I agree with Kiara here. It's very important for us to be streamlined towards whatever we're going for. If it's the kind of content we're consuming for educational purposes, we should make sure that at the end of the day, it turns out to be fruitful.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's always great to go for a detox, for a day, just staying away from any sort of gadgets, any sort of content that we're consuming. Always easier on the brain to sort of get back tomorrow and then understand what type we're consuming and what type we are.
I feel like self-control is the most important thing. There should be a separate time to watch separate things. If you are studying, then watch study-related videos. You shouldn't get distracted easily. And if you want to take a break, if you have been productive the entire day and you want to just relax and watch Netflix for 1 hour, at the end of the day, you can just focus on that. You shouldn't get distracted by other things.
Yeah, I think to sum up, I say these kids have given us very clear ideas that don't binge watch anything. Take a pause, reflect what have you watched and was it worth spending and investing those many hours and effort and energy on that. I would say that as an adult, I have understood that you're not unmindfully watching anything and everything, which is kind of solace and kind of feeling good about. But at the same time, I am feeling that probably not everyone is thinking the way you are all thinking, right? So it's ultimately in your hand and it's your decision what you watch and how you watch, because it's not going to help you if it is just unmindful, consumption of that material or, content which is offered to you. Just like that, buffet is spread right in front of you, right? You pick what you like and is helped for you. God bless you. Thank you for your participation.